Can adoption of a child be an option if a couple is unable to conceive? Well, the first line of defense in this issue is that in any city, especially a city as big as Mumbai, there are many fertility clinics. So the option of multiple fertility clinics, not just one or two, but probably should go to a half dozen fertility clinics if necessary. If after that all the doctors and consultants say it's not going to happen, but many times they can use medications and nutrition and this thing and that thing, homeopathic medicine. There's ways of massaging the situations so that it can happen, can be adjusted. Worst case scenario, adoption of a child might be something that could be considered. I know that Srila Prabhupada was not in favor of it. He was not in favor of it because you don't know what kind of karmic package you're bringing in, really. For sure, no samskara. But let me tell you something very curious that happened. Something curious happened. Rather bizarre. It's probably the only time it's happened to any devotee anywhere in the world. There are some friends of mine that are counselees in a foreign country. And one day, they didn't have any children. One day, they opened the door, and there was an infant abandoned on their doorstep. An infant, a child was abandoned on their doorstep. Yes, it's a true story. Very bizarre, and I'm sure it's the only time it's ever happened anywhere to any devotee in the world. Very uncommon. The baby was abandoned by somebody, some rascal abandoned their child. So they accepted the baby. They didn't try to, give it away or get it adopted out or something. They accepted the baby. It was very interesting because in the end, actually, it was Krishna's plan. Because the husband died, young man, maybe 30 years old maximum. He died not long after the baby appeared on the scene. So his wife wouldn't have had any baby. So, Krishna had it planned out. This is a bizarre story, a true story. No, I guess this was about 8 years ago or so, maybe 7 years ago. The baby was a little girl, and she's grown up nicely in Krishna Consciousness. Grown up nicely. She's a very sweet little girl. Strong personality. I was present, actually, at the 6-month ceremony for the child. The baby was not even 6 months old yet, a brand new baby. I was very personally present at the 6-month ceremony, choose the coins, the Bhagavatam, but in this country, they were putting the kartals as an option. Maybe the baby's a kirtanier, So, in this case, the baby crawled to the kartals, and they don't know her astrological chart, but it appears that she's going to be a singer. Very nice. So, she's a very sweet girl, very nice, about 7 years old. She's a little confused. Sometimes she asks a painful question of her mother. How come all the other children have a pita, father, and I don't? Sad question. It's a tough question. Sometimes she asks that question of her mother. It's a sad question. Well, but anyways, the good news is that her mother is remarrying soon, and it's a good marriage. It'll be a good plan, because here's an instance where the betrothed couple have been friends for a long time. Platonic. Platonic means no romance, but just an honest friendship from a distance, or friendship, but distanced with proper etiquette, no romance, So they're going to get married, and then that will create a happy home for this young girl. So there'll be a happy home, happy ending to the story, because they're both very nice devotees, and the little girl will be very, very happy. You see, she's a nice child, So there can be a happy ending to the story. But in general, if you go, it's like buying something at the market blind that's in a paper bag. You don't know what's in the bag, so hard to say. Adoption. If parents go for an adoption, there should be at least the parents of that child. The records would show if they're vegetarian or not. If you can't even answer that question, then, and if you know nothing about the background of the parents, then it's high risk, because the child might have some really bad karma. If the date of birth of the child is known, then you jolly well better do the astrological chart. But in many cases, in adoption, the date of birth of the child may not be known. So I'm only telling the truth by saying that Prabhupada was not in favor of it, but in an extreme emergency, it might be considered, but they should screen very carefully. You follow? They should screen very carefully the child that they are going to accept into their family, to try to screen out some really bad karma that might come in. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Radhe Shyam.